Humanity awakens to a world where something seemingly eternal has vanished overnight. The oceans are gone completely. Where yesterday there was water, now stretch endless dark basins, covered in salt, silt, and exposed rock. Coastal cities stand on the edge of the void, as if built over a bottomless abyss. The air is dry, heavy, smelling of minerals and death. At first, people think this is temporary, that the water will return. But satellites confirm the impossible: the oceans are gone. For the first time, the world sees the true face of the earth. Giant faults, mountain ranges, underwater volcanoes, and canyons, hidden underwater for millions of years, now lie exposed. The deepest points of the planet have become dry deserts. Atmospheric pressure shifts, lifting dust kilometers into the air. What was previously softened by the thickness of the water now interacts directly with the air. The planet has seemingly lost its skin and is now too vulnerable. The oceans regulated Earth's temperature. Without them, the climate system collapses within hours. Continents overheat during the day, and at night, temperatures drop to lethal levels. The currents that transport heat disappear. Storms give way to complete calm, then to violent hurricanes due to pressure changes. The weather becomes unpredictable and aggressive. The climate no longer serves life, it becomes its enemy. Marine life perishes instantly. Billions of tons of biomass are transformed into decaying fields. The stench of death spreads across the planet. Food chains are disrupted, fish disappear, followed by birds, then coastal ecosystems. Plankton, which produced much of the oxygen, disappears completely. The atmosphere slowly but inexorably changes its composition. Humanity understands, the disappearance of the oceans is not just a loss of water, it is a blow to the very breath of the planet. Coastal megacities are left perched on kilometer-high cliffs. Ports lead to nowhere. Shipping vanishes overnight. The economies of countries dependent on the seas collapse instantly. Fishing, trade, energy, everything is cut off. Millions of people lose their jobs and homes. Cities begin to empty, turning into ghosts of civilization standing over a dead land. What was once the ocean floor becomes new land. Continents expand, joining together, forming gigantic landmasses. Africa joins Europe, Asia reaches for the Americas. Borders lose their meaning. But this new land is hostile, salty, unstable, geologically active. Earthquakes occur daily. People realize that the planet is not ready to accept them back to the place from which it once pushed them. Fresh water becomes the most precious resource on Earth. Rivers evaporate faster than before, and without oceans, the water cycle is disrupted. Precipitation decreases. Water wars begin. States guard their sources with armed forces. People migrate by the millions in search of moisture. Without oceans, the planet becomes drier every day, and even rain is no longer guaranteed. The oceans absorbed carbon dioxide and heat. Now the atmosphere overheats and becomes saturated with greenhouse gases. The sky grows cloudy, sunlight becomes harsh and dangerous. The ozone layer depletes faster. People are forced to hide under shelters, wear protective masks, and venture outside less and less. The planet begins to resemble early Earth, inhospitable and unstable. Without oceans, the maritime climate disappears. Coastal regions, once blessed with mild weather, become zones of extreme temperatures. Winters become icy, summers scorching. Humidity drops to near zero. The soil cracks, crops fail. People realize that traditional climate maps no longer work. The world is no longer divided into tropics and temperate zones, it is divided into viable areas and deadly ones. The oceans held vast quantities of dust and particles, now, nothing prevents them from rising into the air. Global dust storms begin, which can last for weeks. The sky turns brown, the sun a blur. Breathing without a filter becomes dangerous. Cities suffocate. Architecture no longer protects, it only traps dust inside. The Earth slowly turns into a planet of storms. The global economy was built around the oceans. Sea routes disappear. Trade collapses. Container shipping becomes impossible. Resource prices soar. Stock markets fall. Nations dependent on exports collapse first. Money loses value faster than it can be printed. The economy ceases to be global and returns to local survival. People are starting to move. Billions of them. From the coasts, into the interior of the continents. From arid zones, to where there is still water. Cities can't withstand the influx. Camps the size of megacities spring up. Conflicts flare up daily. Borders are closing, but this doesn't stop the desperate. Humanity is once again becoming a nomadic species, fleeing the void. The mass of the oceans influenced the distribution of the planet's weight. Their disappearance alters the balance. The Earth's rotation speeds up slightly. The length of a day shifts by fractions of a second, but this is enough to disrupt satellite systems, navigation, and astronomical calculations. Time becomes less stable. Even the planet itself seems to sense the loss and reacts physically. Cultures have been shaped around the ocean for thousands of years. Fishermen, sailors, and coastal peoples lose their reason for existence. Legends, traditions, and professions become meaningless overnight. Children no longer know what the sea is. The words wave and tide remain only in books. Humanity is losing part of its memory. Scientists launch crazy projects. Evaporating comets. Pumping ice from the poles. Manipulating the atmosphere. But the ocean isn't just water. It's a system that can't be restored manually. Every experiment produces minimal results and enormous side effects. Hope melts faster than ice in a new climate. After years, people stop saying, "There used to be a sea." Children are born into a world without oceans and don't find it strange. They play on salt flats and in the canyons of the former seafloor. Humanity adapts, not because it has won, but because it has no choice. The world has become poorer, harsher, and quieter. But life goes on. Without oceans, the old map of the world disappears. Countries once considered secondary gain access to new territories and resources. Former maritime powers lose influence. Power shifts to where water, stable soil, and a relative climate remain. Politics becomes a geography of survival. Maps are rewritten not with ink, but with human destinies. The surface becomes too hostile. People go underground. Underground cities are built, protected from dust, heat, and radiation. Electricity is conserved, air is filtered, water is endlessly recycled. Humanity once again lives as a species hiding from the planet. Earth is no longer a home, it is a threat. People used to fear floods, storms, and tsunamis. Now there is a different fear, the fear of emptiness. Vast, dry expanses weigh psychologically on them. People feel tiny on the open plains of former oceans. The space where there was once water now consumes the mind. A new form of anxiety emerges, the fear of open, waterless depths. The sea becomes a myth. It is depicted in books, painted on walls, described as a lost wonder. People gather to listen to elders tell stories of the salty wind and the sound of the waves. Water ceases to be a resource, it becomes a symbol of the lost balance between the planet and life. Without the oceans, life does not disappear suddenly, it fades slowly, species by species. Ecosystems become simpler, becoming fragile. Each extinction accelerates the next. Earth enters a new era, where life exists not because of the planet, but in spite of it. This is not the end of the world, it is a long, quiet departure. Humanity changes its role. It is no longer the master of the planet or its destroyer, it becomes the guardian of the last conditions of life. People learn to maintain what remains: water, soil, air. Every resource is treasured as sacred. Civilization becomes smaller, but more conscious. The earth continues to rotate. Without blue, without glare, without waves. From space, it looks alien, brown-gray, dry, and harsh. The planet is alive, but forever changed. It's a reminder of how delicate the balance was, which people thought was eternal. The disappearance of the oceans reveals a simple truth: a planet doesn't have to be habitable. Water, climate, and stability are not guarantees, but temporary gifts. Humanity survives, but at the cost of lost beauty, diversity, and peace. A world without oceans exists. But the question is, would we want to live there?